This is Robert Scott. Can you, Denise?
Yeah, I can hear you. You was frozen for a little bit.
Can you hear? Okay.
Can you hear me? Because I
Yes,
see
I'm
that
hearing you
there's.
now.
Oh, okay, so I see that there's a little bit of Wi-Fi issue.
I'm sorry for the delay. As I said, I'm having some difficulty right now with the
Okay, I
internet.
can hear you. I can
This
hear
is on
you.
my
I can hear
side.
you.
And you're
Yeah,
hearing me now. So therefore, it means
yeah.
our audience can hear us. All right. So today we have our conversation with Dr. Denise Nicholson, the aftermath of New York, and is a principal to produce award with African speaker and the TEDx Clarkstone New York licensee. She speaks to women the world over regarding personal empowerment. Today, we listen to her empowering words as we recover. Denise, how are you this fine day?
I am well, and my heart, my prayer, and all my thoughts are. I have been consumed with what is going on, the devastation that happened after or during Hurricane Melissa. So I am well, but my heart, my mind, my soul have been consumed with what is going on in Jamaica. I am so grateful to see all of the help that has been pouring in. And I'm just saying to each and every person that is experiencing the difficult times to hold on. Help is coming. And this kind of event has never happened in our country, our little island before. So, yes, things are not going smoothly, but we are working to make sure that every person, the people who are trapped, the people who are marooned, the people who don't have a place to sleep, we're working very hard as a global effort to save you. We're all thinking about you right now. So hold on, because you are going to come through this. And when you come through it, you're going to be stronger. You're going to realize who you are, what you're made of, and the things that you can overcome. This is beyond hard for you right now. This is beyond hard, because hard is when you have shelter, when you have basic needs, things is hard. But when you don't have shelter, when you don't have food, when you don't know how to provide those things because of what's going on in your area, in your community, your world is upside down. So this is beyond hard. So all I can say is you are going to come through this. The world is thinking about you. The
Thank you,
world
Denise.
is not just thinking about you, but we're working on getting help to you.
only touched a little about who you are. Tell us a little bit about you and what you've had to go through in your life.
what I've what I have been through is nothing compared to what the people are going through right now. But yes, I am from hardship. I am from difficulty. I am from Sligoville, St. Catherine, right there in Jamaica, and I wanted to say that because I want you to know that I am from the island. I am with you. I feel your pain. I am from right there in Sligoville, St. Catherine. And where I come from, there is still, I always say, there's dirt road, gravel road to get to my grandmother's house where I'm from. So I came from that. My mother left me and my siblings back home right there in Sligoville, St. Catherine, to go to America for a better life. She wanted more opportunities for herself and for her children. Once she got there, things became a little bit more difficult for her. And so she did not get to send for us as fast as she had hoped. 10 years passed, and before, we even saw my mother. And when we saw her, matter of fact, it was her funeral. So 10 years passed, and my
Mhm.
mother didn't even get the chance to bring us up as she had hoped. But we did go to her funeral. We came up to go to her funeral, and then they told us the funeral had to be scheduled a week ahead because, they were waiting and waiting and waiting. And so they needed to just go ahead and bury her in peace, put her to rest in peace. So that we also didn't have the opportunity of saying goodbye, of having closure, of not having seen our mother for this long, and then we didn't even get to see her, to send her off. 6 weeks after my mother left us in Jamaica, our father died in a terrible car accident. And so we were left immediately without both parents. Even though my mother didn't pass until 10 years later, we were left almost immediately with no parents. So my journey was going from home to home. In Jamaica, when, families have a need, another family taking your child or a person. That's how we are. We are a family. We are a culture that thinks about family first. And so, yes, I went to different family members as they were trying to assess our family. And I went from home to home to home. I went to so many different homes. By the time I was 6 years old, I lived in 6 different homes.
Wow.
So that's my story. That's my struggle. And I came to America when I was 13 years old to go to my mother's funeral. When I was 15, I met a boy, I got pregnant, and I had a baby by the time I was 16. It was very hard for me to traverse the life of adulthood as a teenager. So things became overwhelming very quickly. I lived with my boyfriend because I had to. My family had said, if you're going to have a child, you cannot live here. Your mother died and left all of you. By the time my mother passed, she had had 9 children. So it wasn't just us anymore, and we're big enough to fend for ourselves. But now we had 4 other siblings who were younger than us, and so my family really couldn't see how they would take care of those children, their own children, and then my child at the same time. So they told me, you know, you're going to have an abortion. And if you can't, then you can't stay here. So I talked to my boyfriend and his family, then they took me in. And then we went on our own. We got our own 1 bedroom apartment in the Bronx, and we were doing, grown people things, being a homemaker. I was taking care of a home, taking care of a baby, and going to school at the same damn time. It was hard. So imagine how you feel as an adult with bills to pay, food to groceries to buy, and responsibilities of an adult. I had all those responsibilities as a teenager. And man, it became so overwhelming that I thought the best way to escape this, compounding the issue, was me and my boyfriend argued all the time. about everything because we were young and we didn't know how to, that we didn't have the proper tools to navigate a relationship. And so we argued all over everything. So that's where I come from. That's where I come from. And that's just, to make a long story short, eventually, um, I became so overwhelmed that I just did not want to live anymore. That was my story. But that was then. That was then. But then I had people that showed me resources that could help me, gave me a chance, spoke to me, and told me that the way to a better life is to get an education. And I went to beauty school. After I finished high school, I went to beauty school. I learned to do hair. I learned to take care of people. I learned to listen. The most important thing I learned when I was doing hair was to listen, because people had so many stories that were so impactful and life changing. And so I learned to listen and to see how I can help just from this, the stories that I was hearing. How can I help? How can I make a better life for the people than just to listen? Of course, I was doing their hair and making them beautiful, but I wanted to do something that can help people pass on a legacy. The stories that I heard had lessons. They had really great lessons and experiences. So I thought about how I can pass that on. And I didn't realize how I could do that. Eventually, I moved on and I went to learn how to be a registered nurse. And I learned to be a registered nurse. And in that environment, listening was a key component, because it is in listening that you get to have a keener assessment. So I got to listen, and then I heard more stories, and I realized that people universally, they had very similar stories. It doesn't matter where they were coming from, the stories were the same. A lot of things were happening to women, a lot of things were happening to young people, and I wanted people to share their experience. So I wrote a book, and in that book I talked about different topics that I heard over the years. Women who spontaneously lost their baby because of difficulties, women who decided to have an abortion because of difficulties, women who felt abandoned, like I did when I was young, when I lost my parents so suddenly. And so I wrote about 9 different topics, 9 different themes, like that I thought were the most common things that women were experiencing. I wrote the book. The book was called Sila, When Mommy Left for Foreign. And that book
Ah,
led me
interesting.
to where I am today as a publisher, globally publishing for people and helping others get their stories out of their head, getting into a book, and then setting up that book into a business so that they can not just uh, have a book as a legacy, but now they can go around the world and sharing their message.
Dennis, you've said a lot. I've heard the power of listening. I've heard how resilient that share with you that Jamaica is going through the greatest challenge we have ever faced with this Category 5 hurricane that made landfall. My own experience of a real hurricane before this was Hurricane Gilbert. And that was now the devastation covered sected, whether directly or indirectly, whether by themselves, their family, or their friends. So everybody has a tale to tell. Now, what words of comfort?
I can I can say that your story matter. What you went through during the hurricane matters. what you were going through leading up to preparing for the hurricane. It matters. And so hold on to your stories, because it's so important to pass on stories of survival. You know, it's, some people might say nobody want to hear that, man. Nobody want to hear that again. Say your story until you feel good, because holding it in can cause you to get overwhelmed, can cause you to get depressed, can cause overwhelming sadness. So share your story with anybody that wants to listen. That's the beginning. Share your story. I can comfort you by saying that help is coming, and things are only going to be this disheveled. Things are only going to be how they are for a short time. It won't, it won't be forever. It won't be forever. So just keep holding on for hope. Know that we are planning to take care of you. You are in our thoughts. I'm thinking about you and where you're going to sleep, even though you're lodging or where you're resting your head is temporary now. But I'm thinking about you, and the world is thinking about you. So whatever you can do to help each other, to bring a smile to each other, the person that's next to you, whatever you can do to protect each other, do that. Because young children, young women, and the elderly they're very vulnerable right now. So they need support, they need help, but they are dependent on, us to help them. And we can be neighborly. We can give somebody a joke and make them feel better. Just give them a joke to make them laugh, because laughter will help to just ease that sadness. Sometimes people are in their heads a lot, and I just want you to know, it's best when it's good to think about things, but it's best to let it out. So whenever you get a chance, let it out. But the most important thing that I'd like to convey is to be there for the people that you can. How can you serve? Even if you're in a shelter right now, how can you give back? I saw people doing people's hair in some of the shelters, and that just made me feel good, because they are serving each other in the community. It's a community that you didn't expect to be a part of, yet you are a part of it. See how you can serve. When you serve others, you have the greatest opportunity to gain success.
Dennis, what you're saying is really powerful. A lot of times we think of the food, clothing, and shelter, but these physical needs are very, very important. But the psychological needs is what they're focusing on. And that
Yes.
conversation, having that smile, sharing a joke, making light of a tough situation, as you know, they
Yes.
say Jamaicans, we take bad thing to make laugh.
Yes.
This is something that will help that person to go even just one more day.
Yes.
And what that leads to me is I saw a report in the newspaper this morning that there are two suspected person. And this brought a level of sadness to me, but it really just underscores the trauma and the stress that we go through. Tell me a little bit about your whole thinking about suicide and how we can combat that.
Boy, my heart goes out to the family. I am so heartbroken when I heard that. It really hit me very hard, because, those people were feeling hopeless. The situations felt so bad for them that they felt like it doesn't matter if I'm here. So I want to say, my heart felt condolences to the family that just lost those two people. But hold on to those who are listening. It's dark now, but morning is going to come. Dawn is going to break, and things are going to be better. So if you're feeling sadness, find somebody to talk to, because those are the things that comes before feeling hopeless. You start to feel sad, and then you start to dwell on, oh, nobody's coming and things can't get better. But things will get better. It may get worse before it get better, but it will get better. Most things that get better, it gets worse before it gets better. So just know that, reach out to people for help. Say what you're going through. Say that I am so overwhelmed because I don't have any pampers for my babies. Talk up, because the more you talk up, you'll realize that someone next door can help you, or someone next door have it worse than you. So just hold on. Your life is important. And we know how hard, we don't know what you're going through, but we know it's hard. We know it's tough. And we are praying for you. And we're not just praying, because as you know, prayers without works is nothing. So we are praying, and we are working, we're planning, we're putting together things into. You're going through phase one right now, where it's rescue and cleaning up and finding ways to rescue people, cutting pathways through to get the help to people. But then after that, what's next? We need dwelling for people that is sanitable, and we need, to think about the phase after that. After dwelling, then we want to get children back into schools so that they can continue to learn and be the best that they can be, and have one day a story to say, I was in this Hurricane Melissa, but here I am today. I am a physician. I was at this place, but here I am today. I am a nurse. I was in this situation, but here I am today. I am this person. That day will come. Just hold on.
Dennis, thank you so much for that. That day will come. We shall overcome. Now, when that day comes, there'll be stories, stories of heroism, of resilience, of succeeding against the odds. And what I've learned from you is that writing a book is also very therapeutic.
Yes.
How can persons with a burning story actually get to you for them to have their own book in time?
Right now, it's easy to get to me. If you are thinking about writing a book, you can join me on any platform. I'm on TikTok, Denise Nicholson. I am on Instagram, author Denise Nicholson. I'm on Facebook, same Denise Nicholson, all across the platform. So you can author Denise Nicholson on TikTok and Instagram. So you can just send me a message, send me a DM, and tell me, what's your story. You can also just send me an email, if that's better for you, to author d nicholson at gmail.com. So, but right now, of course, I want to hear your stories, but I want you to focus on building up yourself right now. And then when you're ready to tell your story, give me a call, because we are going to write a book about all of the survivors and share your story on a global scale.
Dr. Denise Nicholson, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. And if nothing else, you have inspired me. And I know your words will inspire many others. Is there anything you'd like to leave with our audience today? Any thoughts?
I've been hearing a lot of music that has come out of this tragedy. And one of them is We Shall Rise Again. We're not only going to rise again, we're going to be better. We're going to do things smarter, and we're going to be bigger than we've ever been. Can you imagine Jamaica even bigger than we were? Well, that's us. We're going to be bigger than we were. We shall rise again. I love you, and that is the last thing that I want you to hear. The world loves you, Jamaica.
Thank you, Dr. Denise Nicholson. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Trust you would have gained from this also. Until another day, you'll hear from me again. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye now.
Thank you so much for having me.